Now, I'd be willing to bet that if you asked a lot of hunters and surveyed them, November would probably be the overwhelming favorite for the favorite month to hunt whitetails, and there's a lot of reason for that. It's the rut. There's a lot going on. But boy, you know, when I started hunting when I was 15, 16 years old, we hunted all the way till the end of the season. We didn't want it to end. And that meant we hunted a lot during December. And now with Wisconsin, lately in our area, they've had the season extending even to January 31st. You can bet if I have a tag in December, I'm going to have to shoot something pretty big to end my season, because that means that I could potentially end my season 6 weeks before it ends. Meaning I want to hunt all the way to the end. That means I'm hunting during cold weather. I'm hunting during December. And December is a huge transition month. It's almost like a small window of the entire hunting season. What I mean by that, hunting food sources in early season, hunting food sources in the October lull. Transfers to rut during November, rut in early December, back to food sources. If you look at just December, it encompasses second rut, it encompasses morning hunting, switching to evening, all the way down into hunting browse, midday warm-ups, hunting food, whether it's daytime browse, great afternoon food sources. It's basically a small snapshot of the entire season, and I love hunting snow. Diane was actually hunting snow this morning. It's November 24th. She was hunting gun season in Wisconsin. She drove 45 minutes over there, went up that big hill by herself, went into a stand that works out great for a southeast wind. We had high expectations, and sure enough, she saw an absolute monster, and he was traveling with, if the monster was a 10 out of 10 for our area, the one he was traveling with was an 8 or a 9. So 2 monster bucks. The one came 20 yards. She didn't get a shot, and she's probably still shaking. We talked to her 2 hours later. She was still shaking. She felt sick to her stomach, and she was so happy to see such a monster, so sad that she didn't get him. And that's what hunting is all about. It really, and that's kind of what sums up December and getting into this late season. There's a lot of opportunity, rut, late season hunting. And you can tell we're getting into some cold right now. I'm wearing some gloves, not for a fashion statement, not because they're First Light or anything else. I'm wearing because it's cold in this pole building. We have a hunting room that we have in our house where we're going to actually have a little area where we can shoot our videos. We'll have some really good lighting in there. And it's not done yet. Our contractor, we were supposed to be done end of August, end of September. It's November 24th right now. We're just hoping we might be, some slim chance we'll be done by Christmas time. That way we can actually have a kitchen and everything else. So along with that comes our hunting room, some cold here in the pole building, and but we want to get these videos out for you, and this is the best way we know how. Number one, and this happens the end of November, early December, is the second rut. Second rut takes place whether it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks after the peak rut, after when there's a huge amount of breeding activity. Bucks are flying all over the place. They're locked down with does, and there's going to be some does that are missed, and there's going to be some fawns that are missed too, that are going to cue off their mothers and come into estrus later. And by the time you get into end of November, Diane's shot an incredible buck last year, split brow, a 6-year-old buck. She shot him the Friday after Thanksgiving. The gun season opened the 23rd, the Saturday before. So it would have been about the 29th that she shot that buck on. That buck was out cruising, looking for a bunch of does that were on the plot, going to check them out, and she was able to shoot them. That's that beginning time of that second rut. You get into the last couple days in November, but we've had lots of video of bucks running by, hearing grunting, chasing, December 4th, December 12th, December 10th. It's a great opportunity during that time. And I can tell you, just real quick, we have another second rut video. We'll talk about that in a lot more in depth and some of our opportunities we've had. Second rut is a lot stronger in the north because if fawns are born early, they die in the winter, snow, especially in the UP and Michigan, northern Minnesota, New York. If they're born late, they die because they're too small going into the fall and winter. And so the rut and the timing of the rut's really condensed, and that's where you start to experience, let's say 70%, 75% of all does are bred that first primary rut, 25%, 20%, whatever the number is during the second rut, and a few percentage points of outliers outside of that. But when you get down in the south, Mississippi. Someone said I never mentioned Mississippi. Mississippi, I just mentioned it twice in one video. So with Mississippi, that's the third time. Mississippi, fourth. I'm going to stop saying it. But that state down there, more of a trickle rut. Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, over into the southeast, you get more of a trickle rut. You get random rutting, and it might be evenly spaced, it might not. You might find a flurry in one area 2 miles away. There's not a flurry because you don't have those does coming into estrus. But you get down to those southern areas, a lot different. So you don't have that really strong second rut. You don't even have a strong primary rut. It's really spaced out. But again, the further north you go, you can experience second rut. We do every year. We plan for it. We hunt it. And you can bet this year I still have a bow tag in Wisconsin. I still have a gun tag here in Minnesota. And I'll be hunting strong. And it'll take a lot for me to burn a tag in Wisconsin, my last one that I have, because I could potentially hunt all the way to the end of January. December is an interesting time because when it's rutting opportunity, it doesn't matter if it's a second rut, primary rut, peak rut, post rut, rut lockdown, pre-rut, whatever it is, I'm focusing on mornings. Bucks tend to move a lot more during morning hours. That's when Diane saw those monsters today, moving during morning. Not to say they're not moving during evening right now. There's a great time when they're hitting food sources, but when we're back in transition areas and high browse areas, that's where we find movement in the mornings. And it's when you find, especially as you get into that second rut in early December, that could be mid-December in an area like Missouri, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Kentucky. You flip that back a week to 10 days from what we're experiencing here up in Wisconsin, over into Michigan, New York. And that's time where you focus on mornings. You still focus on those evening opportunities as well, just like you would during the peak rut. It's going to be a lot more random. You're not going to see those daily rutting where you just see bucks flying all around. It's going to be a lot more random. It's just going to be a percentage of what you normally see. But at some point, you're switching from morning in December to evening. The rut is almost all gone, and you're focusing on evening food sources or daytime browsing areas, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Food. Roll a little bit bigger. I'm trying to emphasize food, food, food during December. Doesn't matter if it's rutting activity, bedding area, near rutting activity. It's pretty crazy because when you get in December, the local available food sources on public or private land have really shrunk. They're just a fraction. Either they're overpressured, hunter pressured, or they don't have available bedding cover next to those areas because the amount of cover has shrunk, especially as it relates to the hunting pressure that's been applied to those areas. So food really rules the day. And deer will travel a long ways. Does and fawns will put up with adequate food, average food, even below average food if they can just stay home and they stay safe. Bucks will move a long ways, a mile and a half. Just like they move from summer to fall, a mile and a half a lot, to their fall range. From summer range, they'll move into December into those last major food sources, and they'll find those food sources. And if you have that food or you can find it on public land, high browse area, clear-cut areas, regeneration areas on public land, areas where there's a transition from hardwoods to lowland and swamp, lots of changes in hills. You find those lee side of the hills where deer can actually hide and escape the big winds and cold. And it doesn't matter if it's south-facing or north-facing. They're going to go to the area that has the lee side where there's no wind and where it's calm. They're going to travel to that area. If you combine that with great cover, great food, you're going to find the deer, and food rules a roost, whether it's the second rut or late season feeding opportunities, daytime browse. You have to find that food and adequate available cover nearby, and you're going to find those bucks. Number 4, this is something you notice especially when you get in December. Let's say our average daytime highs right now are 32 in southeast Minnesota, over into Wisconsin, over to New York. Let's say down in Kentucky right now, let's say your average daily high is 42. Well, when you get temperatures, or 45, whatever it might be in Kentucky, when you get temperatures in Kentucky, they're a high of 10 right now. When you get 0 degrees, 2 degrees, 5 degrees, even 10 degrees around here, frigid temperatures. Deer are very successful at conserving energy. What that means is if they're moving about during the coldest time of the day, they have to use a lot of calories and a lot of energy to stay alive and to keep themselves warm. Whereas if they're huddled in and they're staying warm during that cold time of the day, they're conserving energy. So really watch when that temperature, it doesn't matter if it's 5 to 10 degrees below normal, but when it gets to frigid, basically life-threatening temperatures for humans out in the woods and making sure you're warm, making sure you're not exposed, then that's when I see a big difference where it flips to where instead of those deer being very active in the morning, they're active later in the day. We'll talk about that in a second. High quality browse. Woody shrub tips, I mention that all the time, hardwood regeneration, even some leftover acorns. You're looking for briars, grasses, weeds that are still available, old meadows, pastures, CRP fields that have a little bit of food. We're not focusing on cover as much right now. We're focusing on high value daytime browse that basically sustains the whitetail herd all winter long. A lot of times those quality food sources are gone, whether they're food plots or ag fields, acorns, they're all gone. So they're really focusing on that high quality browse. You find that browse, and if you can combine it with high quality food sources like a big clear cut where there's a bounty of food, and then you have daytime browse and you have adjacent quality cover that's been undisturbed, unmolested, unpressured by hunters the entire season, you find that high quality browse, then a lot of times, that's where Diane was hunting near today. We have a lot of hinge cuts up in that area and hardwood regeneration, some good conifer cover, diversity and hillside change and a lee side, and that's where she saw a pile of deer, including those 2 monster bucks. Find that browse, combine it with high quality food, high quality cover, and you'll find that daytime hot spot. And what you're looking for midday, look for those warm-ups. When you have those frigid mornings and deer are in their beds because they're trying to conserve energy, that means when it warms up during the day, I like to say when the snow gets soft, I can think of some of those days that have been beautiful where the snow is soft, it's getting a little packy, there's a little bit of fog in the air, it's moderate winds, it's calm, and you're in near those browse areas, and you can find some incredible 10 to 2 p.m. midday movement by the local deer herd. And a lot of times that affords you the opportunity to slip in at 9 or 8, after daybreak, where they're in their bedding areas. You go well outside of their bedding areas, you get in next to some daytime browse, and you wait for those deer to come alive again. They feed 5 times in a 24-hour period. A lot of times at peak feeding time when the conditions are tough for deer and it's very cold is when you have those midday warm-ups, you can find that they're moving everywhere in the woods. That's when you go in the woods, public land, you're going to go for an afternoon sit and you bust them because they're already out there. You find as it flips to evening and the temperature starts to drop again, you don't see much activity at that time. Look for that little bit of a difference in that midday. Try to recognize what's a frigid temperature. I would look at 15 to 20 degrees below normal highs in your area. Our area right here, again, that might be 12 degrees, 10 degrees right now, as opposed to 30, 32 if you're in central Kentucky, down into Missouri, over into Missouri, southern Illinois. Then you might find that temperature might be a daytime high of 45. And right now you're looking at 20, 25, some frigid morning temperatures, daytime highs. And you can imagine those morning temperatures are going to be really cold if you're looking at daytime highs that are 20, 25 in southern Illinois or 10 to 15 around here in southeast Minnesota. You're talking probably below 0 in the mornings. December rules. Fun time of year. Man, I have such great memories. We used to go up to the Thumb area, Michigan, and whoever had doe tags left, we would drive deer in between the little wood lots. We had so many mishaps. We had a lot of fun. We had times where we had a pile of does in the back of a pickup, and we had a lot of success. We had a lot of failure. We learned a lot about how deer moved over a long area where you had these small wood lots and big open sections of land. We learned to hunt the valleys, the ditches, the ditch crossings, to stay low. We found that deer didn't generally like to expose themselves that time of year. It was amazing how they'd follow just a little depression all the way through the fields for 3/4 of a mile. And it was amazing how we'd kick them out. They'd run a half mile, cross a road, run 3/4 of a mile, get into a next wood lot, and it's 4 properties away from what we could even hunt. And we were done hunting. After those deer were out of that area, we had to go find another property or move. But bottom line, we had a lot of fun in December. There's a lot of opportunities still. I like December. I like that secondary rut, especially, and then those late season food sources if you can find them and you have them available, because it is probably during those peak times, secondary rut, those evening food source, high quality, some of the most missed opportunity in the deer woods. Why? Because everyone's focusing on November, the early season, the warmer days. But if you can brave the cold, you can learn how to dress warm in the deer stand. We just shot a video like that this morning with about 2 inches of snow crusted over our bodies after sitting a few hours in the morning. Then you can walk into some outstanding cool season, December deer hunting. And the beauty of it all is, not only do you find that success, consistent success, you can plan for it, you have a variety of hunting options. A lot of times you have the woods to yourself. That's not a bad thing either. And hey, who doesn't like to hunt in snow? I love it. Seems like when that snow is coming down, deer start to move. They move to different habitats. You can take advantage of those movements when you know deer are going to do something based on the weather or based on the conditions, hunting pressure. Then you can capitalize on those predictable movements, and you can enjoy a great December every single deer hunting season. And hopefully have a great one this year. Leave your comments below. I'd appreciate it. Want to hear how you do. Well, if you made it to the end of this video, you're obviously interested in whitetail habitat solutions, what I have to teach, and you will love my new web class series. The first one is how to design your whitetail property. It's out now. The link is in the description. I invite you to check it out. It's on my website. Can't wait to hear about it.